I want to be the best. Today's fighters, they have been taught that that's not the way to do it nowadays. Nowadays, go for the bag.
Got lucky because the only fight for Tank outside of after Lamont Roach was Shakur Stevenson.
Facts.
Right? Now they've got another opponent that will do well at the gate because of the controversy.
Yep.
And it ain't Shakur Stevenson. I keep telling people, Shakur Stevenson beats Tank.
That article, when we look at all the great fighters that's been, I wouldn't say disrespected, but they was going through that. Oh, he ain't fight this, he ain't do this. All of them go through that. That's part of the boxing game. Stay strong, youngin', you know.
Roy Jones Jr. confronted Gervonta Davis, urging him to face Shakur Stevenson instead of Jake Paul. He argued that today's fighters are more focused on making money than on building a legacy or securing their place in boxing history. Roy explained that Tank adopted this mindset from his mentor, Floyd Mayweather, who often prioritized financial security over high-risk, legacy-defining fights. According to Roy, this reflects how modern boxing has shifted from being driven by passion and pride to being dominated by business and profit.
Same thing, so why can't he do it? You know what I'm saying? He made more money than anybody. He was smarter than everybody. He didn't take too many stupid risks. That's what he did, and it worked for him. And people okay with that and accepting it, so why can't Tank do it? Tank can do the same thing the mentor did. That's what the mentor is for, to teach you how to do this thing the smart way and not get you hurt, not have to take no risks, not to take many chances. So if that's what you learn, if that's the easy way out, why not do that?
The boxing community widely agrees that a clash between Shakur Stevenson and Gervonta Davis embodies the true essence of competitive boxing. Both are elite fighters with exceptional skill and proven records, making their matchup far more compelling than Davis's potential bout with Jake Paul, who is still viewed as a YouTuber-turned-boxer rather than a seasoned professional. Fans crave a contest where real talent faces real talent, not an exhibition driven purely by profit. Shakur and Tank have built their reputations through relentless hard work, discipline, and mastery inside the ring. A fight between them would not only electrify the sport but also settle the long-standing debate over who is the most complete fighter of this generation. For many, this matchup represents what boxing truly stands for: legacy, skill, and pride, rather than the spectacle of fame and social media hype surrounding Jake Paul.
We can get Shakur to have 2 belts, we have Tank to get a couple of belts, and you have a undisputed fight for those two in Las Vegas, in America, between 2 American guys getting undisputed championship of the world. That would be a mega fight. And we're talking about 2 guys that you have the most dominant, persistent, powerful guy, pound for pound powerful guy, I should say, in Tank, who also is very good defensively. But then you're fighting the best defensive fighter in the entire world, in my opinion. That is a fight I would love to see happen. I would be a big fan of, but I think if we could let that kind of fester and develop for a little bit, and we get that fight, summertime next year, fall of next year, where this is an undisputed fight, I think that's the fight we would love to see have happen. I would be all for that. And I think it's realistic. Like I said, I don't think Tank's losing to anybody except for possibly Shakur, and I don't think Shakur's losing to anybody except for possibly Tank.
Roy Jones Jr., one of boxing's most respected legends, openly stated that Jake Paul will never become a world champion. He said this not out of hate, but from a deep understanding of how difficult it is to reach that level in boxing. Jones explained that the sport demands far more than just training and publicity. It requires years of experience, a high boxing IQ, and unwavering toughness inside the ring. He pointed out that Jake's rise, built on celebrity status and carefully selected opponents, doesn't reflect the same struggle real champions endure. While Jones did credit Jake for improving and bringing attention to the sport, he emphasized that true greatness comes from testing yourself against elite fighters, not from chasing easy wins or fame. His words carried the weight and wisdom of a man who once faced the best of his era, highlighting how the meaning of boxing has shifted for many of today's new stars.
Will Jake Paul become a world champion?
No.
Why?
I think if they make him fight tough opponents, guys with experience, those guys will beat him. Now, if you catch somebody like myself at the end of their career, or somebody like Tyson at the end of their career, the chances are much higher. Because now it becomes more of a 50-50. You got a guy who's better than him, but the age factor. You understand me? And that's the only way to balance it for him to make it a 50-50 fight. Somebody who's on his level at the same age, those guys have too much experience. You understand me? So he's not going to beat those guys. But you find a guy who is past his prime, who has a mentality further than his, but past their prime, it kind of evens the stakes.
Tim Bradley shared his view that Shakur Stevenson doesn't necessarily need a fight with Gervonta Davis. According to him, if Shakur truly believes that Tank hasn't faced real challenges or accomplished anything remarkable, then pursuing that fight holds little purpose. Bradley explained that for Shakur, the motivation isn't legacy, it's the spotlight and attention that come with Tank's name. He argued that Davis attracts viewers and money, which is why Shakur wants to share the ring with him, not because of genuine competitive merit. Bradley's remarks shed light on a modern issue in boxing. Too many fighters are drawn to fame and finances rather than proving who the best truly is. Still, deep down, Shakur likely sees Tank as a challenge worth taking, as he represents both power and status. Bradley, however, maintains that true champions should chase legacy, not just what sells on pay-per-view.
Elite fighters, so on and so forth. So, with that being said, why even want to entertain the fight with Tank Davis? I mean, how much credit are you going to really get, Shakur, besides the money, right? That's what Tank brings. He brings interest. He brings a lot of fans in the seats, you know. But as far as legacy goes, if people are holding Tank at a very low status, well, do you need him? Do you really need him? How you doing, man? Good morning. Do you really need him? Because I personally don't think that you need him, you know. Shakur, you should be here to create your own legacy. You know, you're about the competition. You are about that bread as well. And I think it's important for you to really look at the landscape, man, of boxing and see where your big money fights are, you know, besides Tank Davis. As you know, you hear through the grapevine, I think he even told you on X that, you know, he's contemplating retirement after his Jake Paul fight. You know, you're getting ready, hopefully, if Teofimo Lopez signs the contract, Shakur, to be fighting Teofimo Lopez, who has accomplished quite a bit in the sport, man, and has been in the ring with some legends, Josh Taylor, also Lomachenko. I think that type of fight makes sense. You know, going up to 140 pounds, getting another strap, you know, beating the quote-unquote the Ring Magazine champion, or considered the best #1 fighter at 140 pounds.
Carl Froch didn't hold back his thoughts on Jake Paul's decision to fight Gervonta Davis. He accused Jake of acting like a bully for choosing an opponent significantly smaller than himself. Froch explained that Jake, being naturally heavier, is using his size advantage to appear dominant, but that doesn't demonstrate true boxing skill. He criticized the matchup as more of a business stunt than a legitimate contest, emphasizing that Tank is giving up too much in both size and weight for it to be considered fair. Froch added that boxing should represent equality in skill and courage, not physical exploitation for profit. His words echoed the frustration of many boxing purists who believe the sport should preserve its integrity, rather than devolve into a spectacle built to generate clicks, views, and viral attention.
I think it's ridiculous. Jake Paul's taking the piss, like he always does. Just from saying I'm going to fight AJ tonight, fighting Gervonta Davis. Yeah. Who's 100 pounds in weight lighter. 100 pounds. Weight divisions in boxing are split up, some of them, the lower weights, by 3 or 4 pounds. All I can say about Jake Paul fighting somebody half his size is he's a bully. Why are you fighting a guy half his size? It's wrong. Yeah. He's gone from Krusty the Clown now to Sideshow Bob. He's getting worse. You know what I mean? Like, this is a guy that's just taking the piss out of the sport, and I don't think this is actually gained much interest. The press conference was dead. Yeah, I noticed there weren't many press there. It's not had a big media coverage. Yeah. I think people are finally realising actually that this is a big charade, and yeah, I think I'm not impressed. Gervonta Davis, I think maybe he's had enough of the game. He got drawn in his last fight. He was lucky to get the draw as well. But yeah, the whole thing again, it's a clown show. And Jake Paul.
Shakur Stevenson made a bold claim, stating that Gervonta "Tank" Davis will never step into the ring with him because he knows how difficult that fight would be. Shakur delivered the statement not out of arrogance, but from confidence in his own abilities. He believes Tank's team fully understands the danger of facing someone with his defensive mastery and high ring IQ. Known for reading opponents effortlessly and dictating the pace of a fight, Shakur's style could frustrate an aggressive puncher like Tank. With these remarks, Shakur subtly questioned Tank's courage, suggesting that his recent choice of opponents reflects caution rather than ambition. Fans viewed it as a calculated psychological jab, a way to pressure Tank into accepting the challenge. But so far, Tank has remained silent, focusing instead on high-paying bouts that pose little risk to his undefeated record.
Question before I go. Why not fight Tank at 135?
Tank ain't gonna fight him, man. He not gonna fight him.
You gotta realize with Tank, he on that other side where he gonna,
Take all the cupcakes. Alex, say it.
Man, I'm quite sure.
Look,
So you saying he don't want to put that record up?
look,
Shady, I know Tank.
Man.
I know Tank, Shady.
I know Tank too.
Let him talk. Go ahead.
Hey, I know Tank too, and I know for a fact at the end of the day, like, he is not jumping into no fight with me. Like, that's a whole different type of atmosphere. That's not like fighting. I'm saying.
So basically, you telling me Tank scared?
I ain't gonna say the man scared. I'm just saying for a fact.
So what
I know
you
he not jumping in the ring with me.
Promoter Eddie Hearn shared his candid opinion that Gervonta "Tank" Davis never seriously considered fighting Jake Paul for genuine competitive reasons. Hearn pointed out that Tank had opportunities for a rematch with Lamont Roach or a showdown with Shakur Stevenson, yet he chose the easier and more profitable route instead. According to Hearn, the Jake Paul fight appealed to Tank because it promised a massive payday with minimal risk. He argued that if Tank truly wanted to test himself, he would have taken the Stevenson fight, a matchup that would challenge both fighters' skill, strategy, and heart. Hearn went on to say that if Shakur and Tank ever met in the ring, Shakur would come out on top, thanks to his precision, patience, and superior boxing IQ.
If you were Tank's promoter, what would the next step be for Tank?
I heard they were going to fight Jake Paul. When I see Jake Paul at the event, and I see Jake Paul posting from the private jet with a picture of Gervonta Davis. They had that for a reason. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Because you had to buy it, you had to get it made.
Yeah, but I can't believe that fight was going to happen. But anyway, crazy stuff's happening. Yeah, you got to rematch Lamont Roach. You got to. It'll probably get ordered. That's the reality by the New York State Athletic Commission. But listen, they may have got lucky because the only fight for Tank outside of after Lamont Roach was Shakur Stevenson.
Facts.
Right? Now they've got another opponent that will do well at the gate because of the controversy.
Yep.
And it ain't Shakur Stevenson. I keep telling people Shakur Stevenson beats Tank. You cannot say that Shakur Stevenson would not have beaten Tank last Saturday.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, he would have.
When Shakur Stevenson criticized Gervonta Davis for accepting the Jake Paul fight, calling him not competitive, it sparked strong reactions among fans and analysts alike. Shakur argued that Tank was wasting his talent by taking fights that failed to challenge him. However, some analysts disagreed, saying it was unfair to label Tank as non-competitive based on a single exhibition bout. They noted that every fighter goes through phases where financial incentives or exposure take priority over legacy. Still, Shakur's frustration stemmed from seeing a fighter of Tank's caliber lowering his standards for publicity rather than pursuing meaningful competition.
Shakur Stevenson keeps talking about Gervonta Davis. Now, he's being asked about Gervonta, so it's not as if he's just going out of his way to just start talking nonsense, and I don't believe he's talking nonsense any way it goes, but he was asked in one of his recent interviews about Gervonta, and he said that he doesn't believe Gervonta Davis is a competitive fighter right now. That is because he is fighting Jake Paul in a exhibition fight that will be taking place. I do believe it's November 13th or somewhere around there is going to be the date. Obviously, Shakur Stevenson is talking out the side of his neck with that because just because Gervonta Davis takes one exhibition doesn't mean that he's not a competitive fighter. He just fought Lamont Roach earlier this year, proves that he is obviously a competitive fighter, and he's already stated that once he goes and picks up this money from Jake Paul, that he's going to come back and he's going to go back to boxing. So I reject the idea that Gervonta Davis is not a competitive fighter. He's not fully into the scene like Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Mike Tyson are, where Mike Tyson has had, his second or third exhibition. This will be his third one coming up. He had one against Roy Jones. He had another one against Jake Paul, and now he's going to have one against Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather Jr. has been doing these for years and years and years, ever since way back in 2016 or 2017, whatever the year was, when he beat Conor McGregor in what should have been an exhibition, but was counted as Floyd Mayweather's 50th professional win. Gervonta Davis has not done nearly enough to be considered a full-time exhibition fighter. So I think Shakur Stevenson is not just a little bit off on that, but a lot off on that. I just think that is an unfair representation.
Tank Davis's longtime trainer, Calvin Ford, came to his defense, reminding critics that fighters have lives beyond the ring. He explained that, at the end of the day, boxing is still a job, and a dangerous one, so fighters have every right to make decisions that best serve themselves and their families. Ford pointed out that Tank's critics are quick to judge, yet every legendary boxer in history has faced similar accusations of avoiding certain opponents or prioritizing money. He emphasized that Tank has earned the right to choose his own path, and no amount of criticism can erase his accomplishments. According to Ford, it's simply part of the boxing game. Fans will always want more, but fighters must think about longevity and life beyond the spotlight.
A rematch Lamont. What are your thoughts on that, you know?
Tank, everybody he fight, he make famous. Roach was a nobody before he fought. Nobody, world champion. You know what I'm saying? I look at it like this. If any of them top guys that they talk about would have had an offer that been offered to Tank, they'd have jumped on it too. That's happening, you know what I'm saying? My suggestion is, you put me in a light where everybody know me now. You know what I'm saying? Let me keep it moving. I come back to Tank later. You know what I'm saying? I understand that's the biggest payday of his life, you know what I'm saying? But it's more out there, you know that. You know what I'm saying? You look at Pitbull, he running with it. Brody, still on top. Barrio, still on top. You know what I'm saying? Martin about to fight soon, so it's about to see where he's at. I just look at it like, oh, forget about that. Tank, go in and do what you got to do, because at the end of the day, it's about taking care of you and your family. You know what I'm saying?
It was more of a business decision for this fight. Is there still hope that a rematch happens?
It's based on the individuals, you know what I'm saying? Because we have seen old fighters get back in the ring to finish this settlement. It's based on the fighters or what they want to do. And one thing people don't understand, money is being spent before the fight. You see what we walked into. It was a nice press conference from New York to here. A lot of money been involved doing what they're doing to get it off, you know what I'm saying? And actually, everybody didn't believe in the Tank and Roach fight, the first fight. But look at it now, it came into be a bigger fight now. So we have to wait and see how this fight finish out.
Showbiz the adult analyzed the situation from a different angle, describing Jake Paul as an opportunist who's ready to exploit any mistake Tank Davis makes. He cautioned that Tank shouldn't underestimate Jake simply because he's a celebrity boxer. According to Showbiz, Jake possesses real power and confidence, and if the chance presents itself, he won't hesitate to go for a knockout. He advised Tank to stay focused, approach the fight with full seriousness, and avoid treating it as an easy payday, because one careless moment could change everything.
Lollygag, this ain't gonna be nothing, and Calvin Ford is like, he ain't gonna play with you. Listen, Jake Paul is an opportunist. We know this is an exhibition, but Jake Paul is about his bottom line and MVP's bottom line. And if that means sacrifice Tank by knocking his ass over the top rope, Jake Paul is going to deliberately do it. He's going to go out there to knock him out. I promise you. That's why I'm telling Tank Davis, don't bull jive. See, there's a lot of people eating off of Tank Davis right now because, like Calvin Ford said, Tank, you're being too nice. Where's the beast act? Grow your mane back out. We gotta see the beast.
Chael Sonnen commented on the massive scale of promotion surrounding the Jake Paul vs. Gervonta Davis fight. He described the event as a multi-million-dollar production, complete with press conferences carefully crafted to build tension and drama. Sonnen pointed out how Jake escalated things with personal attacks, even referencing Tank's past legal issues, which made the confrontation especially intense. Tank's decision not to respond revealed both his discomfort and how deeply personal the rivalry has become. Sonnen believes the build-up has gone beyond business, it's emotional now, with both men determined to outshine each other not just inside the ring, but also in the public eye. He concluded, the amount of money, media attention, and effort going into this promotion proves that this fight is designed to break records, even if it lacks the competitive purity that true boxing fans long for.
Tank was not ready for this. I feel, should have known. I got an article written about me to personalize this, but I got insulted. I was insulted back in about 2012. I was known as the best guest, I was known as the best interview, I was known as the best guy for a press conference. And somebody comes out and they goes, hey, he's got these planned. He's got these lines planned ahead of time. This guy isn't so great. And I remember finding that very comical. I have never had a test in my life where the teacher told us a test was coming up that I didn't prepare for it. I couldn't imagine walking into something. It could be the fight itself. I couldn't imagine not preparing for it. And Tank was simply caught off guard. This is what he does. He's a descendant of Floyd Mayweather. And Floyd did as good of a job as anybody at making sure those press conferences in that image and that character, and it was nothing more than that. It was a character, but he made sure that it was dynamic and compelling. And I just share for you, like he wasn't ready. And it got dirty. It got very, very dirty. Tank apparently has something where he was accused and possibly even charged. If I use the wrong words, I don't know the story. I learned it yesterday when Jake brought it up.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned until next time.